Greetings once again, everybody, and welcome back to Fun Valley. It's time for Hutchinson Community College softball on the Blue Dragon Sports Network. This afternoon, game number 2 of a Region 6 doubleheader featuring the number 18 ranked Hutchinson Community College Blue Dragons and the Hesston College Larks. Steve Carpenter back with you. Hutchinson won the first game between Hesston and the Blue Dragons by a score of 8-4. DJ Cannon going to 8-0 on the season. Kiara DeCrane, 2 home runs. Raven Bass, a 2-run home run. And a key 2-run triple by Bryn Stockman. The highlights in that one, DJ Cannon struck out 10. Dragons look to be in for a bit of a tussle as Hesston pitcher Ashley Yassen strikes out 6 in the first 2 innings and wound up striking out only 1 more for the remainder of the game. And now the Blue Dragons go after the sweep and win number 14 as they get set to take on Hesston in this regional. Again, this doesn't count toward the conference standings, but toward the regional seedings, this has a direct impact on it. So the Dragons looking to pick up the direct tiebreaker against Hesston, going head-to-head, trying to sweep the Larks. Game 2 pitching matchup will be for the Blue Dragons sophomore Destiny Schultz. She'll be opposed by Kaylin Lastly for the Larks. Let's get to the lineup as the umpires meeting is about to take place at home plate. First for Hesston, now 16-8 for head coach Andrew Sharp in his 8th season. Taylor Martin will lead it off and play center field. Lexi Avalos, a couple of hits in game number 1. She moves over to right field and bats second. Kendall Richardson will bat third and play third base. Batting cleanup and doing the catching once again, Sam Amarante. Sierra along the shortstop bats 5th for the Larks. Jocelyn Chavez will bat 6th. She's the designated player. Jenna Snyder bats 7th at first base. Batting 8th will be today's starting pitcher, Kaylin Lastly. And batting 9th and playing left field, Josie Knoll. In the lineup at second base but not batting is Shea Hoover. So for the Larks, it's Martin, Avalos, Richardson, Amarante, Long, and Chavez, Snyder, Lastly, and Knoll, with Shea Hoover playing second base. For the 13-2 and now number 18 ranked Blue Dragons, Jamie Rose will line it up like this. Izzy Godinez will lead off and play shortstop. She'll be followed by sophomore center fielder Ashton Reynolds batting second. Raven Bass bats third. She hit a home run in the first game. She plays first base. Kiara DeCrane and her 2 home runs bats cleanup and plays third base. Batting 5th will be left fielder Bryn Stockman. She's taking over for the unavailable Becca Roberts, who is attending a funeral today. Dragons are taking the field. Cameron Pope is the catcher for the Dragons, batting 6th. Batting 7th will be second baseman Shelby Felbus. The designated player is DJ Cannon. She bats 8th, and batting 9th and getting her first start of the year is playing right field, Cassidy Pruka. So for the Dragons, it is Godinez, Reynolds, and Bass. Also in the circle, my apologies, sophomore Destiny Scholes. We'll get to her numbers in a moment. For the Dragons, it's Godinez, Reynolds, Bass, DeCrane, Stockman, Pope, Felbus, Cannon, and Pruka. The lineup for the Blue Dragons as Destiny Schultz taking her warm-up tosses, 5'8" sophomore of Deer Park, Texas. The numbers on Dez, a 3-2 record, making her 7th overall start, 6th appearance, a 4.21 earned run average for Dez, 36 in the third innings pitched, 44 hits allowed, 21 runs, 17 of those have been earned. She has struck out 38 and walked 21. That opponent's batting average starting to come down a little bit now at 303. So Des Schultz will go against a batting lineup that was hitting 338 coming into this one. They got a season high 7 hits and 4 runs off of staff ace DJ Cannon. And this team has a win over nationally ranked Cali, so they are more than capable of getting it done here in game number 2. So the Dragons are going to have to be on their A game. Again, welcome to those Hesston fans tuning in. Thank you for joining us as we're only going to get started about 5 minutes past our regularly scheduled start time. That's how brisk game number one was. Here we go. Taylor Martin to lead it off against Des Schultz. Thanks for joining us here on the Blue Dragon Sports Network. First pitch of the game is upstairs, ball one. Des has struggled a little bit in her last 3 outings. She got up to a very fine start. She has technically lost her last 3 outings, but one of those was taken away by a forfeit by Rose State. She won't get the win on that. But to no decision strike called, and it's 1-1 now. The wind in the 1-1. Taken low for a ball. Taylor Martin was 1 for 3 in game number one. Scored a run, stole a base, also drove in a run with a triple. She struck out twice. 2-1 pitch, way high, 3-1. And we talked to Ray Geary and head coach Jamie Rose. Working from behind has been a bugaboo for Des here in this outing, and she loses the leadoff batter, who's perfect 8 for 8 in stolen bases, is Taylor Martin. Loses her on 6 pitches, so it's a leadoff walk to start the game. And that's the last thing that you want to do against this Hesston Largs team. Now Lexi Avalos, 2 hits in the first game, scored a couple of runs, also drove in one. Avalos came into the afternoon hitting .429. Schultz's pitch misses a little bit low. Ball lands at the feet of Cameron Pope, the catcher. No advancement by Martin. So right now, Des needs to get locked in. Line shot into left field and through. Inside out swinging. Avalos has her 3rd hit of the doubleheader. The Larks have 2 on to start the game here in game number 2 for third baseman Kendall Richardson. Kendall Richardson came into the afternoon hitting .277 with 13 total hits. Richardson was 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles. 1 run scored in game number 1. She doubled to the right center field gap and also to the left center field gap. The pitch. Outside ball 1. Des has the usual pitches. Fastball, rise ball, curveball, screwball. Well, harnessing all those pitches. There's a swing and a foul ball at the plate. Continues to be an uphill battle for Des, who has pitched much better in her sophomore season. But she has constantly pitched with runners on base. More times than not, Des is working out of the jam. But it's those 1 innings now that are costing her that used to be 3 and 4 innings last year. Change up, runners go, the throw down is high. And all Kiara DeCrane could do was go high and snag the ball. So a double steal on a changeup. So now runners at second and third. The force is off. Dragons will give up a run for a ground ball out. Excuse me. 2-1 pitch. Hard hit ball to the left coming on, and trapping it is the left fielder, Bryn Stockman. The throw to the plate is not in time, and Hesston has a 1-0 lead. Richardson takes second on the throw. That might have been a bit of a mistake on Bryn's part, letting another runner move into scoring position. So Hesston set up for a big inning. Martin scores, Avalos to third. Now the entire Blue Dragon infield gets together around Des Schultz. So Hesston takes a 1-0 lead. And there's still nobody out. Walk to Martin, and single by Avalos and a single by Richardson. And now Sam Emirante, the cleanup hitter, steps in. Emirante, a .438 hitter on the year, has a home run. 23 RBIs. That coming into the afternoon in game number 1. Amarante was 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. This top part of the Hesston order, very aggressive, good hitting bunch. The pitch. Outside, ball 1. Scoreboard appears to be inoperable right now, but we've got everything up here working. High chopper to third, gobbled up by Kiara DeGrand. They hold the runner on the first over to Raven Bass in time. Amarante is retired for the first out of the inning. Avalos and Richardson stay put, but now with 1 out for the Hesston's best home run hitter in Sierra Long. Long has 5 of Hesston's 8 home runs, 22 RBIs. Long in the first game was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts against DJ Cannon. A curveball from Des spins outside for ball 1. Des trying to limit the damage. 1 already across here in the top of the first. The pitch. Back to the screen. But no advancement by the Hesston runners. So the worst that Des comes out of that is being down to the count 2 balls and no strikes to Hesston's best home run hitter. The pitch. Upstairs 3-0. 16 pitches, only 5 in the zone for Schultz. So she continues to fight her accuracy. The pitch downstairs, it's a 4-pitch walk. 5 have reached, 2 by walks, 2 by hits. The bases are loaded for Jocelyn Chavez, the designated player. And Ray Geary is going to head to the circle and talk to his sophomore pitcher. You figure that the Dragons are going to score some runs in this one. They have already probably gotten past Hesston's ace. Actually, Ashley Yasin was 9-3. Kaylin Lastly brings a 3-1 record in. Not nearly the strikeout pitcher Yasin is. And a 3.91 ERA. As a team, Hesston with a 3.21 ERA. So you figure the Dragons, with their offense, team hitting .340 for the year with 15 home runs through their first 15 games, will score some runs. Now it's up to Des Schultz to keep the Dragons within striking distance, trailing 1-0. Here's Chavez. Designated player in this one. Here's a line shot inside the bag at third, down the line. Avalos scores. Richardson. There's going to be a play at the plate, and Richardson's going to be out by a mile. As Stockman to Izzy Godinez to Cam Pope. It's 2-0. But a big second out at the plate as Andrew Sharp was aggressive trying to score some runs.
First baseman number 43.
So Chavez gets an RBI single. Long goes to second. Richardson thrown out at the plate, 7-6-2, and Avalos scores to make it 2-0. And now the first baseman, Jenna Schneider, steps in with 2 out, runners at first and second. The pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. Richardson in the first game. Schneider in the first game. 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. The pitch. Strike called. And it's 1-1. Excuse me. Schultz's pitch, swing and a miss, good curveball, and it's 1-2. Dez has that first game out against Pratt. The Beavers stranded 10 on base, Swing and a miss. Strike 3 in the inning is over. So Dez works out of it. Great outfield play from Stockman. A great relay from Izzy Godinez to get the second out. Hesston comes up with 2 runs on a pair of hits. There were no Blue Dragon errors and 2 men left on. After a half inning at Fun Valley in game number 2, it is Hesston 2 and the Dragons coming up. Throw goes down. The Dragons get their first turns against Kaylin Lastly. Lastly, a 5'7" freshman from Salina, Kansas. Lastly sporting a 3-1 record with 4 complete games, making her 10th start and 11th overall appearance of the year. 48 1/3 innings pitched. She has a 3.91 ERA, 67 hits allowed, 46 runs, 27 earned. She has struck out 21 and walked 8. Here's Izzy Godinez to lead it off. Moved up to the leadoff spot for the second straight game. And she takes ball 1 from Lastly. Izzy's updated numbers, now .455 batting average with a team-high 25 hits, 6 doubles, 7 RBIs. There's a strike, and it's 1-1. Game number 1, Izzy was 2 for 3 with a double and a walk. The 1-1 pitch from Lastly. A little bit low, 2-1. The wind still blowing, but it appears it's starting to shift again. Now blowing directly out of the north, a little bit less. Sweeping curveball misses outside from Lastly, and it's 3-1 to Godinez, the Hutch High product, and her former teammates are now practicing over to our left on field number 2 as the Salthawks prepare for their 2018 season. 3-1 pitch, taking a little bit low, ball 4. So, Des Schultz walked Taylor Martin, and now the fleet-footed Izzy Godinez walks lead off the Dragon first, and that brings up Ashton Reynolds, the sophomore center fielder. Ashton hitting .345 with a home run, 3 doubles, 8 RBIs.
Ashton Reynolds.
Game number 1, she was 1 for 4, but it was a huge double, 2 runs scored. Strike called. Tied at 2 in the 5th inning. Reynolds doubled down the left field line. One batter later, Raven Bass left the yard for the 6th time to give the Dragons a 4-2 lead, a lead they would never relinquish. The 0-1. Runner goes, pitches downstairs. The throw is not nearly in time. A stolen base for Izzy Godinez. Her 3rd of the year, and the Dragons are now a perfect 21 for 21. Izzy now 3 for 3. The count 1-1 now to Ashton Reynolds. An RBI opportunity for the sophomore from Mount Hope. A pitch. Little looper caught out of the air. This is going to be a double play. Godinez thought it was trapped, but the first baseman, Schneider, picks it right off the turf, and it turns into a 3-6 double play. And just like that, the bases are empty. There goes the old adage, you got to make sure the ball's down or through.
Baseman number 28, Raven Bass.
So bases empty, 2 away for Raven Bass. First pitch swinging at you, fouls it off to the right. Raven now hitting .395 with 17 hits, 5 doubles, 6 home runs, second on the team with 16 RBIs. Chop to the left side, backhanded by the shortstop Long. The hot throw is high, and safe at first on the throwing error is Raven Bass. So the Dragons have a little 2-out life, and now Kiara DeCrane. DeCrane out of Bartlesville, Oklahoma. First career 2-home run game number 1. She's now tied with Bass for the home run lead with 6. Hitting .348 with 16 hits. Team high 18 RBIs, and she takes strike 1. It took a while, or at least a trip through the lineup for the Dragons to figure out Ashley Yassen, but once they did, they hit her pretty hard. Hard hit ground ball right to third. Richardson has it, pours it across another high throw, this time snagged by Snyder, and the Dragons are done in the first. No runs, no hits, an error, and a double play changes the complexion of the inning mightily. So after 1 in game number 2, it's the Larks 2 and the Dragons nothing. Once again, send out congratulations to the Blue Dragon men's and women's basketball teams, both at-large qualifiers for the upcoming NJCAA tournaments that start Monday. The women in Lubbock, Texas at Lubbock Christian University, the guys at the Sports Arena. Give me game times here momentarily as pitcher Kaylin Lastly steps in, showing bunt, and strike called. Waiting for it. It's a pretty good pitch. And indeed it was. Lastly, in the first game, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Ground ball gotten to by the second baseman, Felbus, ranging to her right and throws over to Bass in time. Lastly retired for the first out. Blue Dragon women will play San Jacinto North at 2 p.m. on Monday in Lubbock in a first-round game. The Blue Dragon men won't play till Tuesday. They'll play Cape Fear at noon on Tuesday at the Sports Arena. Strike calls the knees to left fielder Josie Knoll, who made a pinch running appearance, and it was trying to be a big error on her part. She lost track of how many outs there were, and on a soft line drive to center field, Ashton Reynolds was able to double her off. Here's a little squibber up the first base line. Bass will field and tag out Knoll for out number 2. Play goes 3 unassisted. Very quickly, 2 away for the top of the order in center fielder Taylor Martin.
Number 29, Taylor Martin.
Martin walked her first time, led off the game with a walk, and came around to score. It's amazing how many times the leadoff walk will bite a pitcher. And in the first inning, The leadoff walk to Martin Bitt, Des Schultz. Hard hit ball to short. Big hot bar, Izzy Godinez. And as hard as it was to get through the first inning, Des Schultz gets through the second with 6 pitches, a 1-2-3 inning. And on to the bottom of the second we go. Hutchinson trailing Hesston 2-0. Brent Stockman to lead off the bottom of the second inning. Steve Carpenter with you at a high sunshine but chilly Fun Valley on this Tuesday afternoon. The Dragons won the first game by the score of 8-4. Now looking for the sweep, but trailed 2-0. It is Stockman, Pope, and Felvis facing Kalen Lastly here in the second. Dragons still looking for their first hit off of Lastly. First pitch to Brent Stockman is taken high, ball 1. Stockman hitting .298, 14 hits, 5 doubles, a triple, 13 RBIs. She had the big hit that tied the game up in the opener. Dragons trailed at 2-0. 2 out, 2-run triple. Strike on the outside corner. Count even to Stockman at 1-1. Stockman out of Overland Park. The wind of the 1-1. Ground ball to the right side, bobbled by the second baseman Hoover, but she recovers in time to throw Stockman out for the first out of the inning. Hoover had to range to her left a few steps and knocked it down just enough. It almost skittered under her glove. But she knocked it down and stayed at her feet, and that gave Hoover time to throw Stockman out at first base. One away for catcher Cameron Pope. Inside corner, a strike called at the knees. Cam in the first game had a couple of productive outs, one producing a run. She was also hit with the pitch going 0-3. Cam now hitting .360 for the year with 6 RBIs. Curveball outside for ball 1, count even at 1-1. Hesston's pitchers really live on that curveball to the right-handers. The pitch. Strike called. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Scoreboard had struggled all day. It's run from the dugout, not from up here. Here's the pitch. Line shot in left field for a hit. Going down on one knee to knock it down is Knoll. Cam has her first hit of the day. The first hit off of Lastly. It's a 1-out single, and Shelby Felvis will be the batter. Shelby in the first game was 1 for 4 with an RBI. She struck out once. Felvis now hitting .383 for the year with 18 hits, 5 doubles, 15 RBIs. Outside corner. The one thing the Dragons pitcher in game number 1 for Hesston, Ashley Ashton, was run her pitch count up. She finished well over 130 pitches for the game. Sweeping curveball misses outside, and it's 1-1. Pope at first, one away here in the second. Dragons trail 2-0 after winning the first game. 8-4. That pitch misses outside, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike to the Dragons' second baseman. Shelby played the first game in right field. Dragons without the services today of Becker Roberts, who is not with the team. Grounded up the middle and into center for a hit. Pope will stop at second. And it's back-to-back singles with 1 out here in the second inning for DJ Cannon. DJ is starting to show signs of breaking out of it. She homered on Friday at Garden City, had a couple of hits. Now 6 for 33. It's a 182 average, a home run, and 7 RBIs. In the first game, she was 1 for 2. Takes a pitch at the knees, outside corner, a strike. So the tying runs are on base. Cannon's home run on Friday went to left center field. First time she's homered the opposite way as a Blue Dragon. Pitch taken a little bit low, no advancement as the ball gets away from Amarante, just a little bit. Felvis at first has to read the move of Pope because she doesn't want to get thrown behind her and get picked off. Cannon takes a rise ball high and now is up in the count 2-1. Right now, the Dragons are just trying to simplify things for DJ offensively. Right now, is looking everything up the middle. That's one up the middle. Snagged by the pitcher, Lastly, and she underhand flips to third for the force. Nice play by Lastly. A little hard hit ball. It may have been 2 had she not let it go. So possibly it might turn out to be a break for the Dragons.
Right fielder, number 12,
But it's going to take a 2-out hit from Cassidy Pruka, who makes her first at bat of the year. Strike called. Pruka out of Bellevue, Nebraska, 5'8" freshman, hitting from the left side. The pitch. And the dirt kicks away, and that'll move the Dragons up 60 feet. Felvis to third, Cannon to second on the wild pitch. And now a base hit can tie this thing up. 1-1 the count to Cassidy Pruka. The one thing about the time change on Sunday, we'll get an extra hours of sunlight out here. It'll get really cold out here. Wind now blowing out of the northeast toward the right field corner. There's a swing and a foul back to the screen. Pruka down to the count 1-2. This is Cassidy's second game. She's her first plate appearance. Wind of the pitch. And the dirt nearly got away from Amarante. But she put the glove down just enough to knock it down, and it only got about a foot behind her. 2-2 the count now to Pruka. The pitch. Still going to miss strike 3, and the inning is over. So the Dragons threaten in the second, get the tying runs to second and third. But lastly, with a fine defensive play of run and then a strikeout, gets out of the jam. And after 2, it is Hesston 2 and the Dragons nothing. A heartfelt discussion about the song Don't Stop Believing by Journey taking place. I had mentioned to Brandon Sams that was my prom song, and of course he starts in on my age. I would expect nothing less out of him. Song was made in 1981, in case you're wondering. Lexi Avalos to lead off the third for the Hesston Larks. She's putting together quite an afternoon. 1 for 1 with a run scored in this one. Now 3 hits in the doubleheader. She takes up high from Destiny Scholes for ball 1. Dez only needed 6 pitches to retire the Larks in order in the second after giving up 2 in the first. Right now, Dez's job is to keep it at a 2-run deficit. Swing and a miss. Nice sweeping curveball that actually broke down as well. 1-1 the count. Avalos has a bit of a long swing, but she has pretty good back control. The pitch. The hands pulled foul. And it's 1-2. Last year, that would have rattled the buckets of the Blue Dragon coaching staff, but they are no longer inside the fence. There are designated areas just underneath the bleachers, between the bleachers and the fencing for the coaches to sit. 1-2 pitch. Back to the screen, and it's 2-2. Coach Ray Aguirre closely watching and calling the pitches. Here's the 2-2. Upstairs, full count. In order for Dez to make that next step as a pitcher, she's going to have to execute better on those types of pitches. Now the payoff. She lost her, and that's exactly why. Another leadoff walk. First one she gave up in the first. Martin came around to score. Third walk issued by Des Schultz, and now Kendall Richardson, the third baseman, hit an RBI single, was later cut down at the plate. Right now is a very big play in this ball game. Brent Stockman hit the relay to Izzy Godinez, who delivered a strike to Cam Pope for an easy out at the plate. The pitch. Curveball outside, ball 1. Still less than 2-to-1 strike to ball ratio, 33 pitches, only 15 strikes. The pitch. Strike at the knees, 1-1. Big weekend for the Dragons out here at Fun Valley. Love to see you out here. On Friday, Coffeyville comes to town for a 2 and 4 p.m. doubleheader. On Saturday, it'll be Labette at 2 and 4. That's always a big conference series. Little squibber off the end of the bat that stays foul. Now Schultz up in the count on Richardson, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Richardson had a couple of doubles in game number 1. Avalos at second on the leadoff walk to start the third. Pitch upstairs, 2-2. Pretty good crowd out here. The Hesston crowd is also growing off to our left. 2-2 pitch. Pop foul out of play to the right. Tomorrow, Blue Dragon baseball on the network. Single game against North Iowa Area Community College, a D2 school. Then on Thursday, the Dragons take on the Butler Grizzlies to open up this weekend's Jayhawk West Series. And that'll start at Hobart Detter Field and wind up Saturday at McDonald Stadium in El Dorado. Danny Steckline will have the call, as I will stay here and do the Labette games for Blue Dragon softball. So great weekend ahead before we hit National Basketball Tournament week next week. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A big first out as Des Schultz gets her second strikeout of the game. One away for catcher Sam Amarante. Amarante grounded to third her first time up. She has a runner at first with 1 out here in the third. Dragons trailing 2-0. Ground ball to third. DeCrane goes second. The ball's dropped. It's a bad throw by DeCrane. Ball had some awkward spin on it, so it was an awkward play all the way around. So DeCrane will be charged with an error.
Shortstop, number 15.
Amarante reaches on a fielder's choice, and a throwing error on DeCrane allows Avalos to get the second. Now here's shortstop Sierra Long. 5 home runs on the year, and she takes ball 1. So a walk and an error. On the play, Kiara probably, in hindsight, should have went to first. She had no momentum going to second. Threw against her body. Strike called, and it's 1-1 to Long. More momentum was headed toward first base and probably should have taken the sure out there. But no fault trying to make a play. Ground ball up the middle, it hits the glove of Felvis and goes into center field. Avalos scores. Amarante goes first to third. And it's 3-0 Hesston. And again, the leadoff walk comes back to bite Des Schultz.
Designated player number 23, Jocelyn Chavez.
Ray Gary's going to head to the circle. Right now, an unearned run charge to Schultz. The way everybody was looking, there was action over in the Dragon pen. And the ball being taken out of Dez's hands, and her afternoon, at least to this point, is done. Bree Johnson's going to come in to take second base, I believe. And that'll bring in Bryn Stockman to pitch. So we'll get all the defensive changes, and we'll let you know right after this break. So Bryn Stockman comes out of left field and takes over in the circle for Hutchinson, now trailing Hesston 3-0 in game number 2. The changes look like this. Bree Johnson will come into the game in the 10 spot or the flex spot and take over at second base as Shelby Felvis moves from second base to left field. Cassidy Pruka stays in right field. Bryn Stockman takes over in the circle for Des Schultz. Stockman coming off her first career win on Friday against Garden City. She went 4 2/3 innings. Only thrown 6 2/3 for the year, making her third overall appearance. Want to know what the 10.8 ERA. Her job right now is to keep it right at a 3-run deficit. Hesston with runners at the corners and 1 out. And the first pitch to Jocelyn Chavez is strike 1. Three 0 Hesston. Dragons won the first game 8-4. The 0-1. That pitch just misses the outside corner, and it's 1-1. Didn't get to watch the video much, but Bryn really threw well, especially in the middle innings. That curveball in the dirt, good block by Cam Pope. Runners stay put, and it's 2-1. She worked herself into a couple of jams, pitched out of them, ultimately gave up a couple of runs over those 4 2/3 innings. She had 6 strikeouts. She could use one here. Down on the count, 2-1 to Chavez. The wind, high and tight. Big jump over first by Long, but she puts the brakes on. But now it's 3-1 to Chavez. We once, as Jamie Rose had gone back to DJ Cannon in the second game of a doubleheader this year. 3-1 pitch. Up to fielded by Bryn Stockman to throw over in time. Moving up to second is Long, but Amarante stays put at third. It's a high chopper to Stockman's right. She fielded nicely.
First baseman number 43, Jenna Snyder.
Now first baseman Jenna Snyder. It's a big point in the game. Hesston up 3-0. Now with 2 outs. And home plate umpire dusting off the plate with his foot. Hopefully enough for Bryn to see the corners. Snyder, first time up, struck out to end the 2-run first inning by the Larks. Stockman in the wind. A little bit low ball one. Snyder struck out twice in the opener against DJ Cannon. The pitch. Swing and a miss on a good changeup, but it's 1-1. That pitch dropped right off the end of the table. Good pitch from Bryn. Good execution. Good location. Wink now picking back up toward the right field corner. A little bit high, and we've seen that pitch called strikes in both games. That time, Dragons don't get the call, and it's 2-1. Here's the 2-1 to Snyder. Curveball, strike outside corner, and that was a much worse looking pitch than the one before it. Maybe a makeup call. Now it's 2-2. So Stockman a strike away from getting out of the inning with minimal damage. The pitch. Got her swinging. And Cam Pope will tag her out and the inning is over. So nice job coming in by Bryn Stockman to get out of what could have been a pretty big inning. One run does come across, though, on just one hit. There was 2 left on, and after 2.5, Hesston increases its lead over the Blue Dragons now to 3-0, headed to Blue Dragon Sports Network. Dragons in the rears, 3-0. They won the first game 8-4 over the Larks, but Hesston's come out swinging very aggressively. Izzy Godinez, Ashton Reynolds, Raven Bass, the top of the order for the Dragons. This is where they kind of got it started in game number one and take one trip around the lineup to make an adjustment, and then the Dragons wound up racking up 11 hits against Ashley Yassen. So here's Izzy. Showing button, takes outside ball one. Godinez walked, stole a base, and then walked, and then was forced out at second. My apologies. The 0-1. Ground ball is short, right through the legs of the shortstop for an error. Hey, Scooter, can you get that? So Godinez reaches on an error, and now Ashton Reynolds the batter. She lined into a 3-6 double play. The pitch. Line shot. That one's into right field for a hit. Godinez had to wait to make sure it gets through, but she gets to second base safely. And it's a good start to the Dragon third. Godinez reaches on an error. Reynolds singles, and now the power comes up with Bass and DeCrane.
First baseman number 28,
Raven Bass reached on an error. Hesston now with 2 errors in the game to Hutch's 1. The wind of the pitch. A little roller to short, charging is long. The only play will be to first in time. So Bass moves the runners up. And she got out in front and cued one off the end of the bat, but it moves Godinez and Reynolds up to second and third with one out for Kiara DeCrane.
Third baseman number 6.
Kiara grounded out to third her first time up. Way up in the boxes, Kiara trying to stay back. Pitch in the dirt. Ball one to DeCrane. The pitch. A little jam shot, roller up along third, but it trickles foul. Right now, DeCrane and Bass both are having a hard time staying back on Lastly. One pitch in the dirt. Kicks away. Coming down the line is Godinez to score on the wild pitch, and Hutchinson's on the board, now trailing 3-1. So Godinez scores. Reynolds moves up to third on the wild pitch. 3-1 the score now. DeCrane still an RBI opportunity sitting out there. Roller to third, fielded by Richardson, holds the runner, and she pours it across to Schneider for the out. Staying at third is Reynolds now with 2 out. Here's Bryn Stockman, a chance to help herself out in the circle. And she had a big RBI, 2 RBI triple with 2 outs that tied the first game up.
Stockman.
Line shot right field, a base hit. That'll bring home Reynolds with the second run, and the Dragons trail it 3-2 now. So Brent helps herself out in the circle, getting the Dragons back within 1. Stockman drives in her 14th run of the year, and she represents the tying run.
Number 21, Cameron Pope.
Here's Cam Pope. She singled her first time up. Dragons now tied Hesston. There's a ground ball to third, knocked down by Richardson to throw over in time. And the inning is over, but the Dragons cash in on the error. 2 runs on a couple hits, 1 error, and the Dragons get a couple on the board. After 3 here at Fun Valley in game number 2, our new score, the Larks 3 and the Dragons 2. Bryn Stockman hits the circle for her first full inning. She came in with 1 out in the top of the third with Hutchinson trailing 3-0. Got out of that jam. Now the game's in her hands. She's already driven her run offensively.
Pitcher number 14, Kaylin Lastly.
Here's Kaylin Lastly, the pitcher. Lastly, her last time up. Grounded to second baseman at the time, Shelby Felvis, and she takes a strike to start top of the fourth. The wind has been up and down quite a bit. Right now up, again blowing toward the right field corner. It's fixing to make a shift though. The pitch. In on the hands, it's fouled off. Lastly down to the count, no balls and 2 strikes. And Stockman got her first start on Friday against Garden City and picked up a W in 4 2/3 innings. That pitch just a little bit low, and it's 1-2. Great 0-2 pitch. You live there, you're going to start getting some calls on 0-2. That was an effective 0-2 pitch. Stockman into the wind. It's late swing by Lastly, but ball. Brandon Sams continues to work on his one-sided tan. As the right side's going to be pretty tan, but the left side, as the way the sun's sitting. Here's the 1-2. Little slapper to third. Crane has it, and time is called, and the runner's going to be, or the batter's going to be out for being out of the box, so the play will actually go 2 unassisted. Lastly out of the box. The Dragons saw plenty of that down at Rose State. 7 times either DJ Cannon or Becca Roberts were called out for being out of the box. So now here's Josie Knoll, the left fielder. She takes ball 1. Knoll, her first time up, grounded out to first base. Nothing for 1. Made a pinch hit, or pinch run appearance in game number 1. That pitch upstairs, 2-0 now to Knoll. Going to be a lot warmer out here this weekend, as the temperatures to be in the 70s for about the next 4 days. The crew very happy about that. The pitch. Fooled on a high changeup. Knoll swings through it, and it's 2-1. Dragons trail 3-2 now. I mean, we're down 3-0. Hutchinson's trying to rally and pick up their 14th win of the year. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Bryn's first outing, which came against the Bethel JV. A bit of a rough one, but she's continued to improve in the circle since. 2-2 pitch. Second strikeout for Bryn Stockman. 2 up and 2 down. Leadoff hitter, Taylor Martin. Martin has walked and scored and grounded out to short. Martin now 1 for 4 on the in the doubleheader. Pitch upstairs, ball 1. As that sun starts dipping now, again, we have an extra hour of daylight. But that sun starts dipping. It's still on the southern fringes of the horizon. Coming this way as we're only just a couple of weeks, or about a week away from spring now. Let the left side of the infield and left field becomes a very big-time sun field. Fouled back to the screen, 1-1 to Martin. Shelby Felvis out and left. Again, regular left fielder Becca Roberts not with the team today. We're thinking of her. She's attending a funeral. 1-1 pitch. A little bit low, 2-1. Becca is expected to be back with the Blue Dragons this weekend for the Coffeyville and Labette doubleheaders. 2-1 pitch. Now back. And it caroms into the crowd off the corner of the fencing and then goes through and down back to the ground. Nobody harmed in the foul ball. And it's 2-2 the count now to Taylor Martin. Bryn gets the sign into the wind. This is high. It's a full count.
I thought it was coming right through that hole.
Brandon Sams watching his life pass before his eyes on that previous foul ball.
It was quite uneventful.
3-2 the count to Taylor Martin. Stockman's payoff. High pop left side. Godinez right at the grass makes the catch. And it's a 1-2-3 fourth inning for the Larks against Bryn Stockman. Halfway through in game number 2. It's the Larks 3 and the Dragons 2. Third of the Dragon order here in the home half. And Hutchinson. It's a little bit chilly to have the team back at home. Hutchinson trailing this. They won the first game 8-4, looking for the sweep against Kaylin Lastly here in the fourth. And this ball 1 to Shelby Felvis, a single her first time up. She has 2 hits in the afternoon. RBI single in game number 1, shot it through the right side. Mawine in the pitch. Inside 2-0. Made several mentions in game number 1 about how shallow the Hesston outfield is, especially with the wind blowing toward the right field corner. Left field, maybe not so much. But that is as shallow outfield as I've ever seen an opponent play here. That pitch bounces in, and it's 3-0 to Felvis, who, if she gets on, represents the tying run. Lastly, looks at her wristband for the sign, and the 3-0 is pumped right through there for a strike, 3-1. Nathan Light's now running the controls on the stream, and one of these days before he graduates, I'm going to get him to. There's a swing and a foul ball, and the count is full. Not for me, no. I'm wearing 2, and I'm freezing. Congratulations. Brandon Sams is now cold. Here's the payoff pitch to Felvis. Hard hit ball, the third, off the glove of the third baseman Richardson, and it trickles into left field. And that is the 3rd error of the game for the Larks. That'll bring up DJ Cannon. We'll see if Ben Whitsitt puts the bunt on with DJ. He did the other day in Garden City. The Dragons have 7 sack bunts. Godinez and Stockman have 2 each. Cannon is one of the other 3 with 1. Swinging away, and it's popped up. And it's caught by the shortstop, Sierra Long. So the Dragons don't move up the potential tying run. And now it's right fielder Cassidy Pruka.
Number 12, Cassidy Pruka.
Pruka struck out her first time in her first at-bat of the year. Showing bunt, and she bunts through it for strike 1. Dragons trying to tie it up here in the 4th. They have 3 more at-bats remaining, but you'd like to see him get on top and stay on top. Pruka shows bunt again and takes high for a ball, 1-1. Hesston with 2 in the first, 1 in the third. The Dragons came back with 2 in the third. Izzy Godinez scored on a wild pitch. Pitch taken outside, 2-1 to Pruka. Godinez scored on a wild pitch, and Brent Stockman drove in a run with 2 outs to make it 3-2. Felvis at first. Here's the pitch. Bunt's popped up over the head of the catcher, Sam Amarante, and she can't come up with it. Now it's 2-2. So the Dragons misfiring a bit offensively here so far in the 4th. Felvis reached on an error from third baseman Kendall Richardson. Haven't been able to move her yet. 2-2 pitch. Head hitter. Are they going to keep her here, or are they going to let her have the base? She gets the base, and Andrew Sharp is wondering why. But Pruka hit by a pitch, at least for the time being. I don't think they'll reverse this call. Home plate umpire said that Cassidy was leaning back. Elbow naturally came up out of the movement, and he's not going to back down. And Andrew Sharp gets his say, and Pruka stays at first. So it's Felvis at second, Pruka at first, and it's top of the order, and Izzy Godinez. Now the tying run just 120 feet away.
Izzy Godinez.
Izzy has walked and reached on an error and scored. So far, the Hesston defense has really let Kaylin Lastly down. 3 errors, and 2 of them have scored. Ground ball, slow hit, back to the pitcher. Throw on to first in time, close play. So now it's second and third, 2 out for Ashton Reynolds. Reynolds has lined into a double play, singled, and scored.
Ashton Reynolds.
She's hit the ball well twice. First baseman Jenna Snyder made a nice play and picking her right off the turf, and that allowed her to double off Izzy Godinez at second. Strike 1 to Reynolds. And now Andrew Sharp heads to the circle. Have a quick strategy meeting with Lastly and the entire Larks infield. Larks 16-8 coming into this one. The Dragons 13-2 again. And if you missed, the polls were released today. Dragons dropped 2 spots. But that was before we found out that the Dragons received a forfeit win from Rose State. If you're thinking the Dragons have dropped 3 games, they have on the field, but one of the losses was changed to a win because of a forfeit by Rose State on March 3rd down in Midwest City. So now Felvis third, Pruka at second, 2 out. 0-1 the count to 2-hole hitter Ashton Reynolds the pitch. Hard hit ball, foul. And Reynolds hits out of an 0-2 hole. Dragons have stranded 4. In fact, each team has stranded 4. Each team with 4 hits. 2 of the 3 Hesston runs have been leadoff walks. Dragons have scratched a run across on an error. 0-2 pitch. Pulled foul outside of third again. Ashton will battle you at the plate. She's not going to go down without a fight. All those pings you might be hearing from behind, that's the Hutch Ice softball team practicing behind us to our left over on field 2 here at the Fun Valley Complex. Again, the 0-2. Rise ball, Ash lays off. It's 1-2 to the Dragons center fielder. She made 2 fine running defensive plays in game number 1. Both off the bat of Jocelyn Chavez. The pitch bounces in. Good stop by Amarante, and it's 2-2 now. So Reynolds got down to the count 0-2 on a couple of foul balls. She's not chased 2 pitches out of the zone. Lastly gets her sign, and now into the wind of 2-2. And on the hands pulled foul. Still 2-2. The pitch. Changeup misses outside. Reynolds works the count full 3-2. First base is unoccupied. So Lastly doesn't have to necessarily throw a fastball here. Here's the payoff pitch. Hard ball foul. We'll reset it again. Dragons have the tying run just 60 feet away now with 2 out. Shelby Felvis at third, Cassidy Pruitt at second. Felvis reached on an error. Pruitt was hit with the pitch. Now it's going to take a 2-out knock here from Reynolds to get something done. Called strike 3 right down the chute. So Lastly comes up with a big pitch. And indeed it was a strike. And the tying run and go-ahead run stranded at third. We head to the 5th. Hesston 3 and Hutchinson 2.
Leading off, right fielder number 5.
3-2 Hesston, top of the 5th here in game 2. The Blue Dragons won the first game 8-4. And it is Lexi Avalos to face Bryn Stockman. Stockman's going to have to go through 2, 3, and 4 here in the 5th. Little slow roller along first, fielded by Bass. The underhand flip to first, not in time. Not in time. Jamie Rose is going to discuss. I don't believe that Felvis pulled her foot. The throw was on the money, and now we're going to have a conference between our 2 officials, Andrew Sharp waiting to a rebuttal, or ready to give a rebuttal if the need arises, and they call her safe. So the fact that the ball wasn't bobbled And now we're going to get another conference. Maybe Jamie Rose is saying the runner ran inside the line and somehow interfered with Shelby Felvis. Andrew Sharp is looking more and more dismayed. So we're going to wait to see what happens here. And the more this discussion goes, the more animated Andrew Sharp gets. Again, I'm not 100% sure. It wasn't an error of any sort on the Blue Dragons. The ball wasn't bobbled by Bass. The foot was not pulled by Shelby Felvis. Now, maybe Shelby did not have the foot on the bag. But again, we're waiting on a potential overrule of Avalos at the plate, or at first base. And Andrew Sharp continues to argue his point, more with the base umpire than the home plate umpire. And Jamie Rose is calmly staying back and waiting to give any rebuttal she may need to this situation. So the Dragons trail 3-2. This is kind of maybe a swing point in the game. Every time that the Larks have gotten the leadoff man aboard in this one, they've come around to score. So this discussion continues, and right now, I'm just looking at the play. The ball was not bobbled by Raven Bass. The ball was not bobbled when received by Shelby Felvis at first. And they have now called her out. So Avalos is retired. The play will go 3-4. Odd long play, but Andrew Sharp not happy with the call. So instead of a leadoff single by Avalos, it's a 3-4 ground out. Now third baseman Kendall Richardson steps in. 1 for 2 with an RBI single. 3 hits on the afternoon for the Larks' third baseman. Hard hit ball to the right field. On the run and making the catch is Cassidy Pruka. The ball was hit on a line. She was playing toward the gap, and Cassidy equal to the task on that line out by Richardson. Now it's 2 up and 2 down for catcher Sam Amarante.
The catcher, number 2, Sam Amarante.
Amarante 0 for 2. Reached on a fielder's choice in the third. Stockman's pitch. That's a hard hit ball in the center field. Through for the 5th hit of the game for Hesston. They now have a 5-4 hits lead. That is the first hit surrender by Brent Stockman. Is now 2 innings into her relief outing. Runner at first, 2 away for Sierra Long. Hitting out of the 5 spot. Walked, singled, and drove in a run. 1 for 1. Pitch a little bit low. So right now that call looking mighty large in terms of the inning. Curveball misses outside from Stockman, and it's 2-0 to Long. And the Dragons won the first game 8-4. They need to rally to get what will be a pretty pivotal tiebreaker once it comes down to the regional seeding. Swing and a miss. It's 2-1. Cam Pope drops the sign. Stockman into the wind. Curveball swung through. That one gets past Cam Pope. It'll be a pass ball. Pitch had a lot of movement. Now a potential insurance run in second base. That's the 11th pass ball charged to Cam Pope. I've been told Jamie Rose and I are going to go back and look at some of those, thinking that they are wild pitches. 2-2 pitch. A little bit low, full count, now to Long. Jocelyn Chavez would be next if Long can extend the inning. Here's the payoff from Stockman. Fouled out of play to the right. Her back foot flies out as Sierra Long. That might make her susceptible to a fastball in. Her back foot keeps flying out. But she also has 5 home runs. Once again, 3-2. Got her! Called strike 3 and the inning is over. So a little bit of consternation on both, out of both dugouts. A big overturn of a leadoff single works in the Dragons' favor. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. That's the Larks 3 and the Dragons 2. Dragons come to bat, bottom of the 5th of game number 2, trailing Hesston College 3-2. And it will be the power of the lineup coming up. Raven Bass, Kiara DeCrane, and Bryn Stockman. Bass reached on an error in the first and grounded out to short. She homered in game number 1. And so far, Lastly has really had her off balance. Strike at the knees. At only the 64th pitch. Now into the 5th inning for Kayla Lastly, who's limited the Dragons to 2 runs on 4 hits. One of the runs unearned. Pitch a little bit high, 1-1. Bryn Stockman has come in and shut the door on the Larks. Now the offense needs to get going. There's a little looper left side, deep short, and it's going to trickle into left field for a leadoff single for Raven Bass. Now Kiara DeCrane. You don't suspect that a person with 6 home runs is going to be asked to bunt here. Kiara 0 for 2 with a pair of ground outs to third baseman Kendall Richardson. Lastly's pitch. Shot foul off to the right. Taking a shot at sports information photographer Joel Powers, but he's none the worse for the wear. Now time called as pinch runs for Kiara Bass, and obviously Kiara will, Raven Bass and Raven will return to the lineup. A high. 1-1 the count. Brooke makes 5th appearance. She's yet to steal center field. Coming the catch is Taylor Martin, and now they tried to double off the runner at second. It gets away, but no advancement by Jameson at first. So kind of a gutsy play out in center field by Martin. And again, DeCrane just cannot square up Lastly. Now Bryn Stockman, the pitcher. Now might we see some movement on the bases. Jamison, the pinch runner at first, represents the tying run. You knew they weren't going to bunt with Kiara. The pitch. Stockman takes high ball 1. The Dragons have stranded 6, including 4 in scoring position. Lastly, has really kept the Dragon offense off balance. Hard hit ball left side and through for a hit. Stopping at second is Jameson. Now the ball gets past the left fielder. They are going to wave Jameson around the bag. The throw is up the line safe, and now nobody covers third, and Stockman pulls into third. So there's going to be 2 errors on the play, both on the left fielder, Jesse Knoll, and the Dragons have tied it. So it's a single for Stockman and then a 2-base error, or an error that allows Jameson to score all the way from second. And then on the throw, another error on Knoll allows Stockman to go to third. No RBI. So the Dragons have tied it at 3, and now it's 4 errors. That should be 5 errors in the game. Here's Cam Pope with a chance for the Dragons to take the lead. Pitch outside, ball 1. Cam 1 for 2, a second inning single. The pitch outside. Two and 0 to Pope now. Hard hit ball, but foul just outside the left field line. Now the scoreboard reflects properly. 5 errors in the game on the Larks. And it's 2-1 on Cam Pope. Stockman at third represents the go-ahead run. Now Des Schultz off the hook for a potential loss. She'll get a no decision. 2-1 pitch. Lifted down the right field line. Giving chases to the right fielder Avalos, and it lands foul. It's 2-2 now to Cam Pope. So the Dragons tie it up here in the bottom of the 5th. A plethora of Larks errors has aided the cause. Three runs, 6 hits, 1 error for Hutch. 3 runs, 5 hits, 5 errors for Hesston. The Dragons have stranded 6, the Larks 5. The pitch. Pulled foul. That rattled right through the Hesston dugout. As an owner of a Siberian Husky, there is a Husky that just came into the ballpark with another, an absolutely gorgeous dog. Pitch bounces in, stopped by Almirante, and that'll save the potential go-ahead run. But now it's 3-2 to Cameron Pope. First baseman Jenna Schneider really taking the angle away at first, off the line, but up very tight. A good 10 feet in front of the bag. 3-2 to Pope. Low ball 4. Pope draws a 1-out walk, and that'll bring up left fielder Shelby Felvis, who has had a history the last couple of weeks of some clutch hits.
Left fielder number 4,
Felvis has singled and reached on an error. She has 15 RBIs for the year, including an RBI single in game number 1. Here's the pitch showing bunt. Bunts through a high pitch for strike 1. Probably could run Pope without any threat of a throw with a runner at third and Stockman with good speed. The pitch. High fly, left field. This could be deep enough. Knoll going back, makes the catch. Tagging from third is Stockman. She scores without a play, and Hutchinson leads it 4-3. Shelby Felvis, a sacrifice fly to left, and Hutchinson has a 4-3 lead. Pope stays at first now, 2 out. So Hutchinson has their first lead of game number 2. That'll bring up DJ Cannon. Still scuffling at the plate. The pitch. Cued off the end of the bat, foul. The pitch count for Kalen Lastly is now up to 81, 49 for strikes. Not nearly the strikeout pitcher that Ashley Yassen is. Yassen with 107 for the season when you tack on today's total. The 0-1. Ground ball left side, base hit. Pope stops at second. Dragons now have 7 hits. The boss has arrived, and I'm not talking about Bruce Springsteen. AD Josh Gooch coming in. Here's Cassidy Pruka. What a big time for her first career hit. Potential RBI out at second base. First pitch to Pruka. Line shot left field. That's a hit. Knocked down by the left fielder. Rounding third is Pope. She's going to score. And the throw is cut off. The Dragons lead at 5-3. An RBI double for Cassidy Pruka. That's her first career Blue Dragon hit. And Andrew Sharp is headed toward the circle. So the Dragons have come up with a 3 spot here in the 5th to take the lead.
Down 3 when the AD shows up, now up 2. 5-3.
I thought I heard Josh downstairs talking, so I knew you were in the building. Cannon goes first to third on the play. Pope scores. So you got to have Josh out here to make the good things happen.
Stay out of the way.
So the Dragons now with a 5-3 lead. They trailed this by as many as 3-0. So this game is now in the hands of the pitching circle of Bryn Stockman as Izzy Godinez, the 8th batter of the inning, steps in. A single by Bass. She's pinch run for by Jamison. Pitch in the dirt. No damage on the bases, and it's 1-0 to Godinez. After DeCrane flies out to center, Bryn Stockman singles, Cam Pope walks. Shelby Felvis hits a sac fly to tie it up. And then Cassidy Pruka delivers an RBI, or to give the Dragons a lead. Josh, cap. 2-0 now the count. Tizzy Godinez showing bunt. Here's the pitch. Strike at the letters. 2-1. Izzy's had some high strikes called on her today. Canada third, Pruka at second. The pitch. Ground ball right side through for a base hit. Cannon scores. Pruka being waved around third, but no, at the last second, Ben Witsit puts the stop sign on. And with that shallow outfield, probably wise, Cannon scores to make it 6-3. An RBI single by Godinez.
The center fielder, number 7, Ashim.
There's a ground ball by Reynolds in the left field for a hit. Pruka comes down the line to score to make it 7-3. It's a 5-run inning. So here's Raven Bass as the Dragons have batted around. Pruka scores on the hit by Reynolds. Godinez stops at second. And it's strike one to Raven. And this inning started on an infield single by Bass that was hit deep to short. Sierra Long did not have a play on it. And this inning has blown up for the Dragons. A 5-spot pitch low and in for a ball. 1-1 now the count to Bass as Lastly has reached 90 pitches. There is action in the Hesston pen. The wind to the 1-1. Big swing and it's fouled to the plate. Bass down to the count 1-2. The wind of the pitch. A little bit low. 2-2 to Raven. Now Jamie Rose down the line. Was the lineup card coming back out? Did they re-enter Raven back in the lineup? They did it in time. The at bat is still in place. He was pinch ran for, remember. And as long as the at bat was still taking place, she is still legal to be re-entered into the lineup. So everything is safe for the Dragons, and it's 2-2 to the count to Raven Bass. Kaylin Lashley into the line, the 2-2 pitch. Lifted to center, playable for Martin. She's got it, and the Dragons are done in a very productive 5th inning. Hutchinson comes up with 5 runs on 6 hits. They cash in on both of the errors, and 2 are left on base. We head to the 6th inning. Our new score, Hutchinson 7 and Hesston 3. So it's been an uphill battle for Hutchinson all day in game number 2, but now you have a 4-run lead for Bryn Stockman. And Stockman will get Chavez, Schneider, and Lastly 6, 7, and 8 here in the Hesston 6th. The pitch. Little looper down the left field line, but it drops foul over the head of Kiara DeCrane. Stockman through 2 2/3 innings has allowed 1 hit, no runs, and struck out 3. Destiny Schultz works the first 2 1/3 innings, gives up 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 were earned, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Stockman stands to get the victory. When starting to kick up again, the pitch. That one bounces in, and it's 1-1 to Chavez. Chavez so far an RBI single in the first, and a sacrifice in the third. There's the 1-1. A little bit low, 2-1. Dragon baseball tomorrow on the network, 2:45 pregame, 3 p.m. first pitch as the Dragons take on North Iowa Area Community College in a single 9-inning game. Up the middle, and that's going to sneak through for a base hit. So Hesston gets their 6th hit, second off of Stockman. As Chavez gets a leadoff single Up the box now, first baseman Jenna Snyder is struck out swinging twice. Once against Des Schultz, once against Bryn Stockman. The pitch. Curveball misses away and a little bit low, 1-0. The Dragons looking for that solid number 2 behind DJ Cannon. Last couple outings, Stockman has shown the way. Pitch outside, 2-0. Do not count these Larks out yet. They're a .338 hitting team coming in and have produced a lot of runs. Good aggressive swinging team. So you figure they're not done yet. Stockman's going to have to continue to pound the strike zone. She falls behind here at 3-0. She's got the lower half of the order here in the 6th. The wind continues to ever so slightly shift toward the east. The pitch. 3-0 is right through there for a strike. 3 balls and 1 strike. The count now to Jenna Snyder. Dragons have had the only home runs today, all in game number 1. 2 by Kiara DeCrane, 1 by Raven Bass. Curveball misses outside, and it's 2 on to start the Larks' 6th. Ray Geary's going to go out and talk to Bryn. And might we see DJ Cannon start loosening. No movement in the pen, although, as I say that, DJ pulls off her top and grabs her glove. So she'll start to get to work, and we might have the change right now. In fact, we will. We are going to have a pitching change and a plethora of substitutional changes, and we'll tell you about them after this break. DJ Cannon does come in to the circle. Bryn Stockman returns to left field. Shelby Felvis returns to second base. So Cannon, who got the game 1 win, now goes after a save and faces her pitching counterpart in Kaylin Lastly. Lastly 0 for 2. Swing and a miss, strike 1. So Chavez singled. Snyder walked. That prompted Jamie Rose to go to DJ. Again, these are regional seeding games, so they are important. Pitch outside, and it's a 1-1. Cannon in the first game, won a complete game through 7 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, struck out 10 and walked 2. Pitch. Off the plate, wide 3-0. So now, 2-1. The Larks had a season high 4 runs and 7 hits. That pitch off the plate wide, and it's 3-1. So Cannon, a bad pitch from loading him up with nobody out here in the 6th. Tying run has quietly come onto the on-deck circle. Here's a 3-1 to Lastly. Low ball 4, and that brings the tying run to the plate. Chavez to third, Schneider to second, Lastly at first, and we'll get a pinch. Oh, no, just Andrew Sharp down just to get the bat. And here is Josie Knoll. Knowles grounded out and struck out. So things getting tight here at the Valley. Cannon finds the outside corner with the screwball. It's 0-1. Bases full of Larks. Nobody out here in the 6th. Dragons leading by 4. The pitch. He pitching on the hands, and it's flared foul, and Cannon up on Knoll, 0-2. Hesston's going to have a say in the regional seedings. There have been years that they've not been all that competitive. This year's not going to be one of them. The wind in the 0-2 to Knoll. Called strike 3, outside corner, a curveball. Well-placed pitch. Big strikeout for the first out of the 6th, and that'll bring up the top of the order in center fielder Taylor Martin.
Number 29, Taylor Martin.
Martin went 1 for 3 against Cannon in the first game. She struck out twice. Deep into the wind. Pitch misses just off the plate. Wide ball 1 to the right-handed hitting Martin. Outfield straight away for the Dragons. Moderate depth. Here's the pitch. Strike outside corner, a curveball. 1-1 to Martin. Again, baseball tomorrow and Thursday. Softball Friday and Saturday. Here on the network. The pitch. Cannon trying to nibble the outside corner and miss. 2-1 now. The pitch. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Deej just threw her best fastball and bested Martin. Might she do it again? She'd like to make it happen on 2-2. You don't want to go full with the bases loaded. The pitch. She indeed did, and now it's a full count. So Cannon's going to have to come in to look to Martin or walk in a run. Here's the payoff. Cannon to Martin. Pop, foul, back out of play. Reason you want to make that happen on 2-2 is you're still on your terms. 3-2, you have to come into the batter to a certain point. Once again, the payoff. In on the hands, flared foul, and no play. That pitch was right in on his thumbs, and Taylor Martin's feeling it. Andrew Sharp's going to come out a little bit to make sure his leadoff hitter is okay. She says she is. And she is not wearing gloves, and it's low 50s with the wind blowing. Her hands are probably singing right now. Third 3-2 pitch coming up. Here it is. Popped up, foul, and he'll get back out of play. Single by Chavez and back-to-back walks to Snyder, and lastly loaded them up. DJ Cannon struck out Josie Knoll, now works 3-2. The leadoff hitter Taylor Martin. I see Avalos on deck, and she's had quite a day offensively. 4-3-2 pitch coming up. High ball 4, that'll bring in a run. It's 7-4. So Hesston gets another leadoff man aboard to score, and that's 3 times in the game. They're 3 for 3. And now Avalos, who's 1 for 2, 3 hits on the afternoon. Again, kind of a long swing, but very good back control. Lefty-lefty match up the pitch. Must have missed inside, ball 1. Even in her start, DJ didn't have pinpoint control like she normally does. Hard hit ground ball to second. Fell with Goes to second for one. On to first, not in time. Another run will score. That'll make it 7-5. Martin retired at second as Avalos drives in a run on a fielder's choice. But now the tying run, and the tying run stays at first base. Lastly goes to third. Snyder scores to make it 7-5. Now 3-hole hitter Kendall Richardson has a pair of doubles and an RBI single. That single coming here in the first inning of game number 1. Richardson had a pair of doubles against Cannon in game number 1. So now 7-5 the score. The 1-1. Ground ball up the middle. Godinez gets to it, pours it across. Low throw. Everybody's going to be safe. Lastly scores. As he just kind of rushed the throw and dished it and really didn't give Raven Bass a chance. And now it's 7-6.
The catcher, number 2, Sam.
Tying run at third. Go ahead run at second. No RBI on the play. That's an unearned run. And the cleanup hitter, Sam Amarante, will be the batter. So this inning has taken quite a turn. Amarante has grounded to third, reached on a fielder's choice and single in her last at bat in the 5th. 7 combined errors, 5 by Hesston. But yet it's a 1-run game. The pitch, swing and a miss. So the Dragons enter the inning with a 4-run lead, and now it's a 1-run lead with the tying run at third, go-ahead run at second. Cannon's pitch. Outside corner, strike called, 0-2. So now it comes down to pitch execution. There's the 0-2. Amarante wouldn't chase a screwball, and it's 1-2. Dragons looking for the sweep. The Larks looking for the split. 1-2 pitch. Off the plate wide, 2-2. Sierra Long in her 5 home runs waits on deck. Cannon would love to end it right here. Big hack on a rise ball. Amarante stays alive. Some of the Blue Dragon baseball teams made their way out after practice ahead of their game tomorrow against North Iowa area. 2-2 pitch. Popped up. Back onto the screen. Still 2-2. That ball almost came through the open netting at the top of the facade. There are some pretty big gaps up there. That one could have looped in and gotten us. Once again, the 2-2. Got her swinging, and the inning is over. Hesston sends 8 to the plate, 3 score. 3 runs on just 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 left. A couple of walks mixed in there. And we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Our new score, the Dragons 7 and the Larks 6. So Hesston coach Andrew Sharp's going to try to keep this at a 1-run deficit. He brings in his ace, Ashley Yashin. To pitch.
Leading off for the Dragons, the third baseman, number 16, Kiara DeCrane.
What? Did that foul ball scare you? No, scared me a little bit.
So Kiara DeCrane will lead it off. Here in the 6th. Now a 1-run game. Ball 1 to DeCrane. Ball 2. Dragons would love to get some insurance. Strike called. Didn't get all the changes. Looks like Lastly's now at second base. So they burn their DP, at least for now. Blowing in 3-1.
So much for that 5-run AD lead.
Yasin struck out 7 in 6 innings. She now has 107 for the year. The pitch. Upstairs, ball 4, leadoff walk to start the 6th for Hutchinson. That'll bring up Brent Stockman. Stockman has singled her last 2 plate appearances, drove in a run in the 3rd, has scored a run, 2 for 3. See if she's bunting, taking high ball 1. Yasin coming up with a record of 9-4. Curveball for a strike, 1-1. Dragons kind of had to feel Yasin out in game number 1. Again, 6 strikeouts in the first 2 at bats for Yasin. Only 1 over the next 4. She did give up 3 home runs. That doubled her total for the year. Pitching. Her runner goes to throw to second. And it's safely with the stolen bases, Kiara DeCrane. And the Dragons stay perfect on the base paths. Now 22 for 22 as Kiara steals her first of the year. That was a delayed steal and a surprise on everybody's part. So a big insurance run sits out at second base. 2-1 the count to Bryn Stockman. Pitch inside, little blooper. Will be caught by the second baseman Lastly for the first out. Now Cam Pope. Cam 1 for 2. She walked and scored in the 5th.
The catcher, number 21, Cameron Pope.
Dragons with a 7-6 lead here in the bottom of the 6th. 3 outs away from a sweep. They won the first game 8-4. Big insurance run sitting out at second base. And Cameron takes a strike at the letters. Hesston came into the afternoon 16-7. Again, they own a win over Cowley. That's a big-time win. Changeup swung through and missed, and Pope down to the count 0-2. Again, the Dragons, if you didn't see the polls, dropped 2 spots. Highlands number 4. Cowley's number 14. 3 teams in the JAC East in the Division II top 25. Excuse me. The 0-2 pitch. Loop to center field. That's down for a hit. DeCrane had to wait to see if it was going to be caught, and then she moves up 60 feet to third. So Cam just reaches out and then lifts one to center field that drops in front of Taylor Martin. And that's a stunner in and of itself because of how shallow the outfield has been playing all day for the Larks. Now Andrew Sharp heads to the circle as Shelby Felbus will come to the plate. And Ben Whitsitt has some options here. Hit and run, bunt and run, or safety squeeze. Shelby with very good back control. Again, this weekend, come on out to Fun Valley. As the weather is going to be gorgeous, and the Blue Dragons take on Coffeyville on Friday afternoon, and Labette on Saturday afternoon. Those are both Jayhawk East and regional games, so 4 very important games for the Dragons. Tomorrow on Thursday, head on out to Hobart-Detterfield. The Dragons have a non-conference game against North Iowa area, and then we'll play Butler in a Jayhawk West doubleheader on Thursday, and then Saturday at McDonald Stadium in El Dorado. Denny Steckline will have the call on those, as I will be here with softball. And, of course, next week, National Tournament Basketball, both Blue Dragon teams involved. Here's Shelby Felbus showing butt, takes a strike. That might have been more to see, even though it was a strike, that might have been more to see what Hesston was going to tip off on that particular play. Pope didn't move it first. Here's the 0-1 to Shelby. Upstairs the ball. Cam now takes off to second. That will not be a stolen base. Defensive indifference. One and one to Felbus now with runners at second and third and 1 out. Big RBI opportunity here for the Dragons. Swing and a miss, and Felbus down to the count 1-2. Felbus in the first game against Yassen was 1 for 4, but she did drive in a run. Throw one through the right side. The pitch. Swing and a miss. The ball gets away, but down to first is Amarante. Run coming home, and she's in safely. Kiara DeCrane showing some impressive base running skills. First a stolen base, and then coming home on a drop third strike, and the Dragons do get an insurance run, now leading 8-6. Not a stolen base. Just an advancement on the out. Now DJ Cannon can help herself out with a runner at third, 2 away. Strike called to Deej. Cannon singled her last time up and scored. The 0-1. In there for a strike, 2-0. Amarante faked a snap throw to third. Pope was already back on the bag. The 0-2 way upstairs, 1-2. One, 2 to Cannon. Fouled straight back. Pretty good cut by DJ. There's now the pitch count on Ashley Yassen for the day has gone well over 150. She's through 136 pitches in game number 1. She's reached 20 here in game 2. Change up upstairs, 2-2. Good discipline by Cannon. Still plenty of sunshine out here, but the shadows are starting to grow long. The pitch. Low and away, full count to DJ. If Cannon can keep the inning alive, it's Cassidy Pruka. 3-2 pitch. Ground up the middle of base hit, and the Dragons lead at 9-6. Just Excellent piece of hitting by Cannon, right back up the box. Pope scores to make it 9-6. And the Dragons have gotten 2 of the 3 back, and that does bring up Cassidy Pruka.
Cassidy Pruka.
Cassidy, her first career hit, first career RBI in the 5th. Shot down the left field line. That's a fair ball into the corner. Cannon will reach third. She's being waved. Pruka headed for third. She is out at third, but the run scores. And the Dragons get them all back. So a double, and then Pruka thrown out 7-5 at third when she drives in her second run. And Hutchinson gets all 3 runs back, and we head to the 7th. Hutchinson leading Hesston 10-6. DJ Cannon once again with a 4-run lead. Try to close this one out. She's after her first save of the year. And Bryn Stockman would be credited with her second win. Second win in as many appearances. This thing got tied. Hesston came back with 3 runs on the top of the 6th to make it 7-6. And then the Dragons explode for 4 in the bottom of the inning. DJ Cannon an RBI single. Cassidy Pruka an RBI double. She has 2 doubles on the afternoon. And now DJ Cannon goes to work against Sierra Long. So even with 5 home runs, she can hit no worse than a solo shot if she gets a hold of one. And Cannon starts outside, ball 1. Long 1 for 2. She took a called third her last time up. The pitch. Lifted high and deep to center field and gone. Sierra Long hits her 6th home run of the year, but again, it's only a solo shot. And the Dragon lead now cut to 10-7. So give this Hesston team a lot of credit. They are exactly as Ray Aguirre described them, scrappy. There's Jocelyn Chavez. Swing and a miss. Was lifted to left center field. Reynolds on the run. Also Bryn Stockman, and Bryn hauls it in for out number 1. Tough catch looking into that sun.
First baseman number 43, Jenna Snyder.
So there's Jenna Snyder, the first baseman, swings through that first offering from Cannon. Snyder 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, a walk and a run scored. The pitch. Foul back out of play. 0-2. 10-7 the score now. That's the first home run of the afternoon for the Larks, and again the 6th for Long. The pitch. High and outside, 1-2. Dragons going after win number 14. Trying to administer the 9th loss of the season to Hesston. Swing and a miss. 2 away. So Snyder strikes out for the 5th time in the doubleheader. And second baseman, Kalen Lastly. Second baseman.
Second baseman number 14, Kalen Lastly.
She represents the last chance. Could also take the loss if the Larks don't come back. Strike on the outside corner. Swing and a miss. Now the Larks are down to their final strike. So Cannon, a pair of saves, or I believe 4 saves last year. She's looking for her first this year. And the Dragons looking to get a key sweep, their first of the regional season. They're 1-1 in the region after the split with Cloud County last week in Concordia, last Thursday to be exact. The 0-2 to Lastly. That's a strikeout, and the ball game is over, and the Dragons get the sweep. Dragons win Game 2, 10-7. After winning the first 8-4, we'll wrap it up right after this break. Welcome back to Fun Valley, everybody. The Dragons get the sweep by the score over the Hesston Larks by the scores of 8-4 and a 10-7 slugfest. Steve Carpenter back with you on the post-game show. Hutchinson improves to 14-2 overall. Hesston falls to 6-9. More importantly, the Dragons 3-1 in the regional standings to get the win. Here are the totals for game number 2. For the Blue Dragons, 10 runs, 13 hits, 2 errors, 8 left on base. For Hesston College, 7 runs, 7 hits, 5 errors, 7 left on base. The winning pitcher, Bryn Stockman in relief. She improves to 2-0. Kalen Lastly takes the loss. She falls to 3-2. DJ Cannon gets her first save of the season. Time of ball game, 2 hours and 28 minutes. Dragons fell behind 3-0. And then got within 1 at 3-2, and then exploded for 5 runs in the 5th. Each team scored 3 in the 6th. And Hesston tacked on another one in the 7th. to make it the final score 10-7. Offensively for Hutchinson, they out-hit Hesston 13-7. 2 hits for Ashton Reynolds, 2 hits for Bryn Stockman, including an RBI. Cameron Pope with a pair of hits. Cassidy Pruka, 2 for 3, 2 doubles, and 2 RBIs in her first Blue Dragon game. So a nice debut for her. DJ Cannon, 2 for 4, 2 runs, and an RBI. Shelby Phelps, 1 for 3 with an RBI. Easy go Dinez and Ashton Reynolds each drove in runs. The only extra base hits by the Dragons in game number 2 were the 2 doubles by Pruka. Bryn Stockman gets the win in relief. 2 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs. She struck out 3 and walked 1. DJ Cannon gets the save in 2 innings of work. 1 hit, 2 runs allowed, only 1 earned. She struck out 4 and walked 2. Cannon struck out 14 on the afternoon. So the Dragons get the win. They get the sweep. Improved to 14-2. They'll next be in action this Friday afternoon when the Coffeyville Red Ravens come to town for a Jayhawk West Region 6 doubleheader, and we'll have the action for you right here on the network starting about 1:45, and we will actually have a pregame with Jamie Rose that we haven't had a chance to do yet. Tomorrow on the network, Blue Dragon Baseball, a single 9-inning game against North Iowa area. We'll have that call at 2:45 p.m. On behalf of Brandon Sams, Nathan Light, Leonie Weinkamper, and Scott Brooks over on the PA, Steve Carpenter, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon from Hobart Netterfield. Again, today's final scores, Hutchinson sweeps Hesston in softball 8-4 and 10-7. Until then, so long, everybody.